So in this exercise, we're going to find each trig function value, no calculator, and there are several separate problems here that are part of it. First, we'll do part A, find the cosine of 210 degrees. So when we do these no calculator by hand kind of problems, we want to get used to determining two things. We need to know the reference angle, so I'm going to have to fill that in, and we have to determine which quadrant we're in for the given angle. And so for 210 degrees, standard position, let's see, that's more than 90, more than 180, a little bit more than 180, right? It's not as much as 270, so it's more than 180. Looks like we end up in quadrant 3 with 210 degrees. And my reference angle is going to be right here for 210. And I see from my picture that I can get that by taking 210 minus 180 degrees is 30. So the reference angle is 30 degrees. Now let's go ahead and calculate the cosine of 210 degrees. That's going to be very close to being the cosine of 30 degrees. It's either equal or opposite, right? Since I'm in quadrant 3, both coordinates of points are negative, right? So certainly cosine is negative. And so I'm going to take minus the cosine of 30 degrees. And cosine of 30 degrees we got memorized. Now I have it on a yellow card, but I don't even have to look at my yellow card anymore. I know this is negative square root of 3 over 2. So there's the exact value of cosine of 210 degrees. Okay, let's do another. Sine of 2 pi over 3. Again, we need a reference angle, and we need to know the quadrant. 2 pi over 3. Let's see, 2 pi over 3, I know I'm counting multiples of pi over 3. So pi over 3 is like 60 degrees, right? 2 pi over 3 is 120 degrees. 3 pi over 3 would be 180 degrees. So I know I'm going to be in quadrant 2, right, with 2 pi over 3. And so the quadrant is 2. And my reference angle is right here. And here, because 3 pi over 3 would be 180, I know my reference angle's got to be pi over 3, so not too hard to figure out. If you don't see that, you could take pi minus 2 pi over 3 to get the reference angle. And you'd think of that pi as 3 pi over 3 minus 2 pi over 3 gives me pi over 3. So the reference angle is pi over 3 radians. All we need here is sine of 2 pi over 3. And so that's going to be plus or minus the sine of the reference angle of pi over 3. And because we're in quadrant 2, x coordinates are negative, but y coordinates are positive. Sine is connected to the y coordinate, right? So we know we take plus the sine of pi over 3. sine of pi over 3 is, I guess I got a square root of 3 over 2 again here. So I'm taking plus square root of 3 over 2. There we got it. We got our sine of 2 pi over 3. And I'd like to do a couple more, I think, if we can, on the same video. We're going to do cosecant of negative 390 degrees. Now, we never actually figure out a cosecant. We just got to remember that cosecant is 1 over the sine. So we'll always be able to turn these into sine and cosine problems. We actually want to figure out what is the sine of negative 390 degrees. And again, we'll still need a reference angle. We'll need a quadrant. So negative 390, let's see, I know it's more than full circle, right, because negative 360. Let's see, 390 minus 360 is 30 degrees. So it looks like we go 30 degrees beyond full circle. So here's my negative 390 degrees in standard position. And this will be my reference angle right here. And just from what I just figured out, I'm going 30 degrees beyond 360. So the reference angle is 30 degrees. Quadrant, I'm in quadrant 4. And let's see, in quadrant 4, x's are positive, y's are negative, right? So y's are negative. I know sines are going to be negative. So let's just do the sine of negative 390 degrees here first. Is going to be related to the sine of the reference angle, the sine of 30 degrees. And because we're in quadrant 4, I know I have to take minus the sine of 30 degrees. So that's minus sine of 30 degrees. We have memorized that's a half, so we get negative a half. So cosecant of negative 390 degrees is 1 over negative a half, the reciprocal of the sine of negative 390. So that's going to be a negative 2 when I work it out. Cosecant of negative 390 degrees is negative 2. And can we do one more in this video? Cotangent of 23 pi over 6. And let's see, 23 pi over 6. So we need reference angle, we need quadrant. I need to draw this guy. I'm thinking of multiples of pi over 6. I know 6 pi over 6 is pi, so that's half full circle. 12 pi over 6 is 2 pi, so that's full circle. 18, 3 times 6, 18 pi over 6 is going to be 3 pi, that's like a circle and a half. 24 pi over 6 would be 4 pi, that would be 2 full circles around, and I'm just short of that, right? So I'm going to go 1 full circle, almost 2 full circles, but I'm not quite going to make it right because I only have 23 pi over 6. Here's my 23 pi over 6 in standard position. So that wasn't too bad. And actually, I can, because I know 24 pi over 6 would be 2 full circles, I can see that my reference angle here is pi over 6, because pi over 6 more radians would take me to 2 full circles, 24 pi over 6. So we got quadrant 4. Reference angle is pi over 6. Pi over 6 is the same as 30 degrees. Now we want cotangent, but cotangent of 23 pi over 6 is cosine of 23 pi over 6 over sine of 23 pi over 6. So I'm going to figure out the cosine and sine separately. Maybe I can just do those right together here. Cosine of 23 pi over 6 is related to the cosine of the reference angle, pi over 6. Sine of 23 pi over 6 is also, can be determined from sine of the reference angle. For each of these I have to determine if I'm plus or minus. In quadrant 4, x is positive, y is negative, right? So because of my quadrant, x is positive, so cosine is positive, y is negative, sine is negative. So I take plus cosine pi over 6 and divide by minus sine pi over 6. Sorry, those 6's aren't showing up very well. Those are 6's. Okay. And cosine of pi over 6, we got memorized, right? Cosine of pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2. Sine of pi over 6 is a half, just like sine of 30 degrees. But now we got minus, so I got to take minus a half. And so I got to work out square root of 3 over 2 divided by negative a half is square root of 3 over 2 times negative 2 over 1. The 2's will cancel, but don't lose the minus sign now. I got positive times negative will give me negative square root of 3. And there's my value of cotangent of 23 pi over 6 is negative square root of 3. There we go.